The Wizard of Oz, a pop-up classic published by Random House in 1968. Once upon a time, a little girl named Dorothy lived on a farm in Kansas with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Under the kitchen floor at the farmhouse was a hole called a cyclone cellar. It was down there that the family could go for shelter in case one of those violent whirlwinds arose. One hot summer afternoon, Uncle Henry heard a low wailing far away and looked anxiously at the darkening sky. "Cyclone coming," he shouted. "Run for the cellar." The grown-ups hurried down into the shelter, but Dorothy was too late. As she was pulling her frightened little dog Toto out from under the bed, there came a deafening shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she was thrown to the floor. And then a very, very strange thing happened. The cyclone whirled the house high into the air, leaving Kansas and the earth far behind. "Oh, Toto," Dorothy called out over the wailing wind, "what will happen to us when we come down again? Do you think we'll be dashed to pieces?" After hours and hours, the cyclone set the house down gently in a strange but beautiful country. As Dorothy stepped outside, she was met by 3 tiny men and 1 tiny lady. The men welcomed her to the land of Oz and said they were munchkins. The lady told Dorothy she was the Good Witch of the North. "And I want to thank you," she said warmly. "Your house came down on the Wicked Witch of the East and killed her. Now there's only one Wicked Witch in all the land, the Wicked Witch of the West." As a reward, she gave Dorothy the dead witch's magic silver shoes. Dorothy put them on, saying, "I'd like to get back to my Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Can you help me find the way?" "No," answered the Good Witch, "but I'm sure the Great Wizard of Oz can help you. He lives in the Emerald City. The road to it is paved with yellow brick, so you can't miss it. But it's a long, dangerous journey." Kissing Dorothy on the forehead to protect her from harm, the Good Witch vanished into thin air. Dorothy said goodbye to the munchkins, and with Toto trotting behind her, started on her journey down the yellow brick road. A few miles down the road, Dorothy met a scarecrow hanging on a pole in a cornfield. After After introducing Toto and herself, she told him that she was going to the Emerald City to ask the Wizard of Oz to send her back to Kansas. "Maybe the wizard will help me too," said the Scarecrow hopefully. "Right now, there's nothing in my head but straw. But what I really want is a brain. May I go along with you?" "Of course," said Dorothy, lifting him down off the pole. "I'll ask Oz to do all he can for you." So the Scarecrow walked happily along with Dorothy and Toto. Early the next morning, they came to a forest where they met a woodcutter made entirely of tin. As the poor man had rusted tight in every joint, Dorothy was obliged to oil him before he could move. After the Tin Woodman had heard their stories, he thought deeply for a moment and said, "Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart? I need a heart very much, so I can fall in love with a Munchkin maiden and marry her." "Well," said Dorothy, "if the wizard can give the Scarecrow a brain, I suppose he can give you a heart. Come with us to the Emerald City and we'll ask him." So the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe and went along with the travelers down the yellow brick road. A little further on, a fierce-looking lion bounded from the thick woods, roaring at them and snapping at Toto. Heedless of danger, Dorothy rushed forward and slapped the lion on the nose. "Don't you dare bite Toto," she cried. "You ought to be ashamed. You're nothing but a big coward." "I know," sniveled the lion, hanging his head in shame. "I'm just a cowardly lion. But if only I had some courage, I could be king of beasts, just as I'm supposed to be." When the Cowardly Lion was told why they were all going to see the Great Oz, he wiped away his tears with the tip of his tail. "I'd like to go with you," he sniveled, "and ask the wizard to give me some courage. May I?" "You will be most welcome," answered Dorothy. So once again the little company set off upon their journey. The road to the Emerald City was filled with terrifying dangers. There were deep canyons to cross and dreadful beasts to fight off. The Scarecrow was almost lost in a swift river. The Tin Woodman came close to rusting his joints again. And Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion were almost put to sleep forever by the scent of deadly flowers. But finally, the yellow brick road became safe and smooth once again, and the weary travelers were glad to leave the gloomy, frightening forest. Early the next morning, they saw a beautiful green glow in the sky just ahead. "That must be the Emerald City," Dorothy cried gaily. As they walked along, they noticed that everything they looked at was green. The fences, the houses, and the people themselves. One of the native men told Dorothy that no living person had ever seen the great Wizard of Oz. "He sits alone in his palace," said the man, "and can take on any form he wishes. But who the real Oz is when he is in his own form, not a single soul can tell." When they finally entered the green gate that surrounded the green city, a green guardian of the gates gave all of them green spectacles to wear so that the brilliance of the Emerald City would not blind them. Never had Dorothy seen anything to match the dazzling beauty of the Emerald City. Every building was made of green marble and studded with sparkling emeralds, all glittering in the bright green rays of the sun. In the palace, the Wizard of Oz sent word to Dorothy and her friends that he would consent to see them one at a time. When Dorothy entered the throne room, the great Oz appeared as an enormous talking head. "I am Oz, the great and terrible," it boomed. "Who are you and why do you seek me?" Dorothy told him she wanted to get back to Kansas. "First," cried the head, "you must destroy the Wicked Witch of the West. Until she dies, you will not see your aunt and uncle again. Now go." When the Scarecrow went to the throne room, the wizard appeared as a lovely lady with green hair. "I will give you the brain you want," said Oz, "but first you must kill the Wicked Witch of the West. Go now and do not return until you have done so." For the Tin Woodman, Oz took the form of a dreadful-looking beast. "Help Dorothy kill the Wicked Witch of the West," said the beast, "and then I will give you the heart you crave." To the Cowardly Lion, the wizard appeared as a glowing ball of fire. "Bring me word that the Wicked Witch is dead," crackled a voice, "and that moment I will give you courage, but not before." After hiking for many days, Dorothy and her friends reached the country of the Wicked Witch of the West. Seeing them approaching, the witch sent out her slaves, the winged monkeys, to capture them. That night, Dorothy was the witch's prisoner. Dorothy was protected from harm by the mark of the Good Witch's kiss on her forehead. But the Wicked Witch made the poor girl her slave, forcing her to scrub the pots and pans in the kitchen of her castle. Meanwhile, the evil creature plotted to steal Dorothy's silver shoes, for she knew of their magic power. One day, the horrible old woman snatched one of the shoes and put it on her own bony foot. This made Dorothy so angry, she picked up a bucket of water and dashed it over the witch. Giving a fearful cry, the witch began to shrink and melt away, for water was the only thing that could destroy her. Within a minute, she was nothing but a brown puddle on the floor. Dorothy took back the silver shoe and ran from the castle to tell everyone that the Wicked Witch of the West was dead at last. When Dorothy and her friends returned to the Emerald City, they went straight to the wizard's throne room. It was empty, but soon they heard a voice saying solemnly, "I am Oz the Great. Why do you seek me?" "We've come to claim our promise," said Dorothy. "Eh? What promise?" said the voice. "You promised to send me back to Kansas when the Wicked Witch was destroyed." "You promised to give me a brain," said the Scarecrow. "You promised to give me a heart," said the Tin Woodman. "And you promised to give me courage," said the Cowardly Lion. "Oh, dear me," said the voice, trembling a little bit. "I must have time to think it over. Come back tomorrow." "No," they shouted. "You must keep your promises to us." Little Toto, startled by the noise, jumped aside and tipped over a screen that stood in a corner. It fell with a crash, and when they all turned their heads, they saw a sight that made them gasp in surprise. What they saw was a little old man with a bald head, who seemed just as surprised as they were. "Goodness!" Dorothy exclaimed. "Who are you?" "I am Oz the Great and Terrible," the little man said in a shaking voice. "But I'm not really a wizard at all. I'm just an ordinary man and a humbug." As he told his story, they learned that he had once been with a circus, doing magic tricks, throwing his voice, and going up in a balloon. One day, his balloon was blown straight up to the land of Oz, where the people thought he was a great wizard, come to rule them. After they had built the Emerald City for him, he pretended to be a wizard by doing his circus tricks. "But if you're only a humbug," Dorothy said, "how can you keep your promises to us?" "Give me time to think," begged the little man, "and perhaps I'll find a way. Meanwhile, you must keep my secret and not let anybody else know that I am Oz, the Great and Terrible Humbug." The next day, Oz put a brain made of bran into the Scarecrow's head, gave the Tin Woodman a heart made of red silk, and served the lion a saucer of milk, which he said was liquid courage. Now the three believed they at last had what they had so long desired, and believing in themselves made their dreams come true. "But what about me?" Dorothy asked. "How are you going to get me back home to Kansas?" "Very easily," said Oz. "You will fly there in a balloon, and I will go with you. I'm tired of fooling these good people. I'd much rather go back with you and be in the circus again." When the balloon was ready, Oz climbed into the basket, but before Dorothy and Toto could join him, a gust of wind lifted the balloon into the air, and Oz went sailing off into space all alone. And that was the last any of them ever saw of the wonderful Wizard of Oz. although his subjects always remembered him lovingly. But poor Dorothy wept bitterly. It seemed she had lost her last chance of ever getting back to Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. It was Glinda, the Good Witch of the South, who gave Dorothy's adventure a happy ending. Seated upon her throne of rubies, the beautiful witch told the travelers that the Scarecrow would be the new ruler of the Emerald City. The Tin Woodman would rule over the Wicked Witch's land, and the Lion would be the king of all the beasts. To Dorothy she said, "The silver shoes have magic powers and will carry you back to Kansas in 3 steps. All you have to do is knock the heels together 3 times and command the shoes to carry you there." With tears of joy running down her cheeks, Dorothy kissed her 3 old friends goodbye and thanked the Good Witch for her kindness. Taking Toto into her arms, she clapped her heels together 3 times, saying, "Take me home to Kansas. Take me home to Kansas. Take me home to Kansas." 3 steps later, Aunt Em was hugging her tightly. "My darling Dorothy," she cried, "where in the world did you come from?" "From the land of Oz," said Dorothy. "And oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be home again." The